Check 1, 2.
Bear with us for 1 second. Minimal setup. Video on.
I'm calling the meeting to order and starting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Want to welcome everybody, and I'm going to let you have the floor.
So we have the Darago High School Choir tonight. They were going to do the national anthem and Obladi for us.
Oh yeah, please stand. Yes. We have one more song for you. For something for now. So this is the high school choir. We're missing a few because of the bug going around. But we're strong but mighty. Is what I said at the concert. We had our concert at Church on the Hill recently, and it went really well. And amazing night. I was so proud of them. And that's why I decided to ask him if I could show them off. So maybe we can do this again with the other groups and make the annual thing. So this is the Beals tune you probably know, Old Bloody. Of years they have built a home sweet home. Cupcakes turning in the yard, of husband and all each other. Of years they have built a home sweet home. Cupcakes running in the yard, husband and all each other.
Else they wanted to introduce themselves so we know who's in the choir. Thank you very much. We enjoyed it and it was awesome. Yes. Yes. They hit notes I can't hit. Water. All right, we have one on, Angela. Okay. We're moving on, adjustments to the agenda. Could I get a motion to add the following?
So move.
And a second? Seeing, we don't really need questions. Roll call?
Dawn,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Bruce.
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
Barbara.
Yes.
Liz.
Yes.
Carl.
Yes.
Deanna. Yes. Angela.
Yes.
All right. consideration of the minutes of the December 13th, 2022 board meeting. Could I have a motion, please?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
Comments, questions, revisions? Seeing none, I'll do a roll call. Oh, wait a minute. I need a motion. Oh, I did, duh. Roll call.
Dawn,
Yes.
Larry,
Voting.
Bruce,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Deanna. Yes, Angela.
Not voting.
All right, this is the time for public comments. Oh, I forgot to introduce our audience, Gina Clucci and Charlie Swan. Do we have anybody online?
Okay.
Any- You too. All right, communications.
So in your packets, you will see that we received communication from the JMG program. That's the Jobs for Maine grads, and they would like all schools to start help paying the costs of JMG. Specifically, they're asking that RSU 56 pay 13,500 towards the total cost next year. The year after that, 25,000, and the year after that, 27,000, and that's what they're asking for, which would be about a third of the cost of the program. This will need to be considered as an add-on because it will be new to the budget, so you'll see this again when the budget comes forward. And that's the only communication I have.
Okay, thank you. New business. Oh, initial,
So this is just an initial budget process overview. I do have a little slideshow. I think Mr. Keen will get that up. And maybe just for ease, I'm gonna go stand at the other microphone. So many of you have gone through the budget process before, but some of you, it's the first time, so I just thought it would be nice to have an overview of how this will play out. Go ahead, Mr. Keen. So what we always do when we start a budget, we think three questions. What's best for our students? How do we support our current employees? And how do we respond to the community's concerns? Mr. Keen? So this is the process. At first, the administrators or the directors prepare their budgets for their buildings or departments. So each of your paid administrators pull together a budget for their area. They do, like all of the principals, ask their teachers what they need, their ed techs, all of their employees. Like Kenny would ask his departments, what do you need in your buildings if there's anything new that's coming up? So they use all that information, they pull together a budget. Then those administrators and directors need to meet with myself and Mary Daly as the business manager. We go line by line and review what they're requesting. And then once we've done that, because sometimes we ask them to reduce or take things out at that time, or we find things that need to be added because they were forgotten, then the business manager compiles the full budget. So Mary would then compile a full budget. Next page, please. The board should and will provide the administrative team a target. And I'm hoping that we might do that tonight, what you'd like to see for a budget moving forward. The administrative team will review the full budget and adjust it as necessary if the board has given us a direction to do so. And then the board will review the full budget and all of the add-ons. Like I just talked about, JMG would be considered an add-on because it's a new cost. And then the board would vote for the fiscal year 24 budget to move forward to the voters. Next page. So this is the timeline we have for this year. On February 14th, you will hear presentations from Mr. Swan, Mr. Long, myself, and then Mr. Long again for curriculum. On the 20th, and we will give an overview of what we're asking for our departments. On the 28th, you will hear from Kenny for BGT, and you'll hear from Heidi Conley on special education. Again, an overview of what they're asking for, what's in their budget this year. On the 14th, you'll hear from technology, Mr. Keen. You'll hear from Gina and nutrition, and then all others. And that's typically the Mary and I that just kind of give you the other little pieces of the budget. On the 28th of March, we would like to invite in all of the, people, the constituents to work on this. So I'd invite all of the select people to come in and all the community, anybody that's interested in the budget. That would be a specific budget workshop. So the bulk of that night will be talking about budget. Next page. On April 4th, we have a snow date in case we need to have that budget workshop if we don't get it in the March date. And then April 11th, the board will vote on the budget. And on the May 9th, they would sign the warrants. May 23rd, we would have our budget validation referendum hearing here. And then on the 13th, it would go out to the budget referendum vote in all 4 towns. Some things to think about. There are some positives. We're thinking like, what is positive about going into this budget year? Potentially, we're going to remain at the 55% of EPS costs covered by the state. That is what happened last year under Governor Mills, with no change in the governor. We assume that that's going to happen again this year. We have no unknown contract increases. As Bruce has said a number of times, we have no negotiations happen this year. So we know those increases already. So we're not working with unknown numbers. DES's interest payment is about 30,000 less going into next year. So that's positive. And we already have our 277,500 ballots forward for the fiscal year 24 budget. As you know, we have that laid out from previous years balance forward. So those are the positives going into the FY24 budget. And then we have some, next page, uncontrollable increases. I'm sure this is not going to surprise anybody, but we have been, if you live in Dixfield, you know that water and sewer is going up. Sewer in particular, 33% is what we've been told for an increase. We know that heating oil is going up, diesel's going up, gasoline's going up, propane's going up. We need all of those. We need the same amounts we've used in the past. We know that they all cost more than they have previously. We do have negotiated contract increases. We know what they are, but we do have to make sure they're in the budget. Even in this year's budget, as we're budgeting classroom supplies, what we thought we had budgeted enough for, they're coming in higher than they were the year before. So we know that classroom supplies are going to cost more. Electricity, at this point, we have been under a contract and we pay 6 cents a kilowatt hour. We know that we have to renegotiate that going into this next year. And we've been told at a minimum, it's going to be 14%, possibly higher. So we're looking at potentially 3 times the cost kilowatt hour. And then the delivery cost we also know is going up substantially. And then health insurance, we are not going to know until we're well into the process what our increase is. We've been very lucky the last couple of years. We've come in at 0% increases. Other districts have had 6, 8, 10. So we don't know until at least March. They told us by March 20, I think it's March 28th, they're going to tell us no more than, and then early April, they will be telling us exactly what it is. So we're going to be playing with that number right up until the end of this budget process because we simply don't know it. I'd like to hope it comes in at 0%, but I don't know. If I was in Vegas, I probably wouldn't put a lot of money on that for 3rd year running, but we can only hope. Next slide, please. So what I'd like tonight is initial board direction and thoughts on that FY24 budget. Like, what are you hoping for, looking for? I'm going to stand in front of you as your superintendent. We have been super lean the last couple of years. That's what you've asked for. Administrative team has done that. I'm seriously concerned with those uncontrollable increases, that it's going to be a challenge to keep it as low as we have the last couple of years. And I think we just need to talk about that tonight and figure out where you think it's best for us to be shooting for. And then the last page of this is just simply anybody out there that's watching, if you want to give me any input, we want to hear from you. That's all my contact number. You can call me, you can email me. I can be found at Darrigo High School and the principal's office most days. So want to hear from everybody. So I'm going to turn it back to the board for you to just have your initial conversation of what you would like to see from the FY24 budget.
Quick question, Pam. When do you negotiate? When will that be finalized, electricity?
So
Before or after the budget?
it's most likely going to be during the budget process. That's unfortunate, but that's the way it's going to play out. Because we are under contract through this school year, so we have to negotiate for next school year.
And will gas diesel, will that be the same? I know Kenny usually tries.
So Kenny's already started working on it like he always does, and as soon as he gets what he believes is gonna be the best possible price, we'll lock in, but it's not going to be as low as it has been the last couple of years for sure.
Questions? Comments? Bruce?
Well, as Pam alluded, the uncertainties are the thing that's gonna make it very difficult this year. And these energy crisis that we're dealing with is gonna be an uncertain factor, and we're going to need to be well prepared to be able to supply and keep everything running. It involves us going to have to probably over budget for these lines in hopes that we can, once we get numbers knocked down, we can hopefully say, hey, we've budgeted so much and it's gonna be less than what we thought. But right now, I can pretty well assure you, we're not gonna be as fortunate as we were this year. Kenny was very adamant on getting things locked in on a lot of our energy costs, and those are no longer available. So we're gonna need to see what's gonna be out. I know he's always making the phone calls and trying to see what we can get out there, but I'm just more or less preparing everybody that it's gonna be a rough budget year for energy. As we all see in our own homes and our own automobiles, but multiply that by quite a few factors when you deal with as many buildings and everything that we have to run and supply. So not to be starting out with the comments of a negativity, but starting more of the comments of be aware that we're gonna need to be prepared.
Any other comments? Don?
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to make a comment on would be, I know things are gonna go up, we don't have much control over. But I also know if we were gonna get a budget passed, we've gotta be careful how we raise it. So I would think we're gonna have to try to trim everything we can in the beginning, because we're gonna eat a lot in the end. And if we don't get it down somewhere where it's reasonable, the people will just vote it down and you won't have a budget to get passed.
So I have asked the administrators to come in flat if at all possible. I know that Mr. Swan and Mr. Long and I are working on it in our buildings, but it will be impossible. I'll use the word impossible for Kenny to come in flat in his BGT budget. And we're not going to come in asking for new things. New things always go on the add-on list. So when you see the initial budget, it will be what we currently have with the increased, costs of salaries, obviously, and benefits, and any other line that we have control over, we're going to keep it flat. And I would say that since we became RSU 56, we have cut most of the positions that we could, now I would say we've cut the positions that we can cut. Like anything else will require impact on what we can offer. Like we are pretty lean in our buildings in terms of staffing. I don't feel like we're overstaffed at any building, and I still ask everybody, all the administrators, including myself, and I'm struggling with it because I have a retiree, as you know, from previous board meetings. If somebody retires or resigns, we have serious conversations of, do we fill that position or not? And from my perspective, change hats, from the high school principal perspective, I have a position that's retiring this year, and I don't think it's in the best interest of Derigo High School to not fill that position. So we are having those tough conversations as we go, but I just want to be clear that we are not overstaffed. Like you have a lean administrative team and you have a lean teaching team. And I just want to be clear with that, because to start going backwards is going to impact programming. I guess that's basically what I want to say.
Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah. What are our projected numbers like of students? I mean, for next year, we're way up on the elementary school, right? how many of those are moving up through? I don't know if Charlie can help me if anybody knows.
I think probably Mr. Keen could get those
Mr.
numbers
Key can
pretty
get it
quickly.
quick. That, and I think on utilities and energy, I mean, a good figure would be 17.5% increase to budget for. That's just my feelings.
I think it's hard to do a percentage because this is gonna be the year where we're gonna have, like he said, either say 17% for all our, anything like gas and everything, because we don't know how much that's gonna be, and well, that's a separate budget, but I know food is skyrocketed. So, I do have one quick question. Is this third year coming in for the COVID money and stuff? Or is it continuing next year? I lose track.
So we have one more year with the
One more year,
COVID
okay.
funding.
Okay. Go ahead, Bruce.
Just to follow up a little bit with what I was talking about with energy and so forth, the one thing that has been positive for us is that we have done everything possible to update. We've put new boilers in schools, we've put new hot water heaters, all of our transportation, we've increased so that we've got, I shouldn't say increased, we've made the fleet newer. We've replaced the old buses. We've saved a lot of money on having to do a lot of repairs on older equipment. So we over these past few years, we've made our facilities as efficient and as working as best as we can. So at least the one good thing is it's going to hopefully offset, an old boiler that uses twice as much energy as a new efficient one. So we've done everything we can, ground wise, building wise. Now we just don't know, like I said, the price that we're going to pay on fuel. But at least we've got things that are going to not be wasting fuel.
Anybody else? Okay, go ahead.
So looking at the enrollment for what we have this year, we're at 753 right now. It looks like it all depends on how many additional kids we have come into kindergarten that weren't in pre-K. But I would say by looking at the last couple of years, we'll probably be looking within the same, between 745 to 760. Somewhere in that range is where we've been the last couple of years. And it seems to be pretty steady.
Go ahead, Angela.
I just didn't know if Pam could go into a little bit more detail about the JMG program and what them requesting us to pay for a third of that and what the difference is with that compared to what it was in the past.
So initially, when JMG came to the board to do their presentation about adding jobs for Maine grads to Derigo High School, there was no cost to the district in terms of the program. We basically just covered if they needed a sub or if they were going on a field trip, and just regular supplies for the classroom. They have expanded. They've added additional extended learning opportunities and those kind of things to the program. And they have sponsors that pay for jobs for Maine grads, and those sponsors want to just see that the schools feel like they find value enough in the program to at least pay for a portion of it. So some schools are already paying that portion. I kind of pushed back and held out last year. I met with them again this year. So I feel like I need to bring it to the board that they are still asking for us to come on and eventually pay 33% of the cost of the program that they currently pay. We do have some students here tonight that are in JMG, I believe, and if they want to speak to what they can and kind of they don't have to, they're looking at me like, oh, don't put me on the spot. I'm not putting you on the spot, but I will tell you that our students find value in the program. They do resume building, they do mock interviews, they just do a lot of preparation for real world workforce when they leave Derigo High School. So it is beneficial. Even if we get up to 27,000 eventually, that's still, a relatively good deal for our school district to have that program for that cost. But it is something that we didn't hear. That's why I pushed back last year and I tried to push again this year. We didn't hear that eventually we were paying for any of this when they gave the initial presentation. So that's a little bit concerning to me. Again, you have information in your packet, and Angela, we can get it scanned and emailed to you about why they're doing this and some of the programs that they offer our school.
Yeah, how many students do we have that participate in JMG? I know a little bit about it and I'm supportive of it, and I think it's a good benefit for some of our students. I was just wondering, just for a little more information for some of the newer board members.
Yep, so initially we had JMG at the middle school and at the high school. And we had so many students interested at the high school that we transitioned to our JMG provider to just the high school, and she has a full load. So that's all she teaches, both A days and B days. She does have a prep period and she has one learning lab, just like all the rest of our teachers. So she basically has 6 classes of JMG. Most of them have 12 to 15 or 16 students in them.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? Oh, Liz, go ahead.
Just to clear it up, is JMG like what we used to call guidance counselors? Do they kind of take that role over? Like I know they used to do like interview processing and like a skills for after graduation, and they don't have that anymore. So is that basically the same idea?
Nope, we still do some of that in our future perspectives classes in Cougapah. Jobs for Maine grads is really to prepare kids to be ready to go into the workforce. So we used to have kids that took, and I'm not going to remember the name of it, I'm kind of looking at Bruce, hoping he will. At Region 9, there was a preparing for the workforce course. And so we don't have that anymore at Region 9 because we have Jobs for Maine grads, so does Telstar and Mountain Valley. So they've stopped that program at Region 9 in order, and this is more like hands-on for kids, that the person's here every day and they can go to them.
So does anybody have any other comments on the budget? Huh? Yes, it was, I think it was like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, they stopped offering, I think it was career explorations, but there was something at Region 9 that was similar. It was really about building your resume, learning how to interview, learning how to look for a job, trying to figure out budgeting, like if you're going to make X amount in this job, what can you do with that kind of money? Can you afford an apartment, a car, that sort of thing?
I think for us, I know you want, well, I think you get an idea. We know we're gonna be, what's the word? The money's gonna have to go, some of it, the new stuff, to the new increases. Almost all of it, depending when we get our statement, from the government, what we're gonna get. Like last year, we got an increase, which helped. I don't know what we were in October for numbers, because that does make a difference. Because I think once we're gonna have to build that step, see what that is, see what Kenny gets, and see, because we have to have electricity, gas, and that, and but we also need, like you said, we need our staff and everything.
So my plan then is to come in with kind of what we currently have, what it would cost to keep it, and then any add-ons that we would have asked for, and the way we've done it in the past, if that's what people are comfortable with. And we will, again, I've directed administrators to hold every line steady that you can. So if that's the board's pleasure, that's where I'd like to start, and you'll just see whatever it is. I don't know what that number would look like at this point.
Because I do know, like last year, Jason had maybe one thing, you had one thing. Charlie, I think, always has 2 or 3 things. I'm teasing you, Charlie. I said because it's hard to make a decision until we really know each step thing. I may be wrong. I don't know how everybody else feels. Think
We can't hear you, Pam.
I'm sorry, I was just telling Barbara that we have three students here that were in the chorus, and they had come to do public comment, and they were still putting stuff away, and they are waiting to do a public comment. I'm sorry that I forgot that until right now.
Just come right up to, we don't bite. I do know you sing higher than I ever could. I'd be squawking. Is it on, Brian? Okay. Yeah.
I'm a Maya child. I'm a sophomore. And I think we're all. I'm Mila, and I'm Skylar O'Connor. We all do JMG. So we like all kind of got to know each other, but we also have a couple words on the cell phone and headphone policy. So, sorry, I know an issue that I have with the policy and also multiple other students that I'm friends with, even if I'm not friends with, I don't know them quite well as I do, like a lot of other people, I don't know what I'm saying. But one of the main issues that I have, and a lot of other students that I've talked to about it, is the headphone policy, because it's not so much as, I know there's like a couple people who have an issue with like not being able to have their phones in class and all that, which I think it's fine. I think it helps the teachers have their students focus more, and if you don't have your phone on you when you like go to the bathroom, then you don't take as long as in the bathroom. And for me personally, having headphones on during the day or when I get to school at first, or like at lunch during learning labs, music for me personally helps me concentrate. It also helps me calm myself down if I get put in a stressful situation. And I think there's a lot of other students that feel that way, and some are frankly quite angry that they can't have headphones on. I know I have in my 504 plan that I'm allowed to have headphones on. I'm allowed to have music going in my headphones just because that is something that's so important for me. But other students don't have that because they're not as fortunate as I am to have a 504 plan that helps them helps them in their high school career. To add on to what she's saying, I feel as though she does, music helps me focus throughout the day and stay focused on the tasks that I am given. And I do understand the phone policy where during class period, you're not supposed to be on your phone. But what I don't understand is during learning labs and RTIs, where it's my free time, where if I don't have work or anything to do, I feel as though I should be able to have my device to keep me focused or do my assignments on my phone. Their music is something that helps me cope with anxiety or my fidgeting during anything. And if I'm having a stressful time or having like a mental block, music can help me push through that and focus more on my teacher and what's been given to me.
The last thing I have to say is about the cell phone. My family is going through a rough time right now with my great grandmother, and that's personal, but we have a family group chat where I'm keeping updated because there's not a lot of people to take care of her and her family because everybody's just so tired. And also I have some health issues with my heart, and I have a lot of anxiety. So if I need to text my mom or my grandparents throughout the day, and teachers don't really understand that, even if I try to explain to them, I think that's also might be an issue because I have a couple of friends that do also have some health issues and do need to stay in touch with their families throughout the day.
And
to add on to what we're both saying, I have friends who will have panic attacks or anxiety attacks or just need someone in general to give them a hug or support them during the day, where if in the middle of class, they run to the bathroom and they're crying or whatever, they'll message me. They'll give me a little heads up and say, hey, can you please come help me? Can you help me come stable my breathing? Can you just give me a hug in a few minutes? And whereas though, if I don't have my phone on me to be able to see those messages, my friend gets to sit in the bathroom and cry alone and go through that all by herself and then misses her class time and not able to pick themselves back up. I think that's all I really have to say.
Thank you.
And to add on what they were both was saying, I think that was kind of mainly about me. I have a lot of mental health problems and physical problems that I have counselors for. So if, I do agree that the phone is very distracting during class and it should be put away when the teacher is speaking. But sometimes throughout the day, I have to message my counselors if I'm having like a hard time, or I'll message Skylar because she's one of my very close friends. And I feel like if I don't have that mental support throughout the day, then I'm not going to be able to make it like throughout school. I also do JMG for that because I feel like it helps me mentally prepare myself ahead of time. Headphones, yes, they can be distracting if the teachers are talking, but I feel like I can do my work faster and more efficient when listening to music as long as the teacher is not talking.
Thank you, guys. You can go home now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, old business, Angela and Bruce can both comment on Region 9 update.
Well, I'll start. We met on the January 4th, which is the first Wednesday of every month. They had a wonderful light show. I don't know if anyone got to go and see it during Christmas time, but they did a really nice job. It was a nice little drive-through. With the staff reports, the adult ed director is going to be leaving. We're looking at trying to find someone to replace her. She's not going to bail on us until we do find someone, but we're in the process of that. We did hire a new assistant. Let's see if I say it right. An administrative assistant for adult education, which is she's starting at this time. The superintendents, and we didn't meet during the Christmas break because by the time they started in back to the school year, there wasn't much that had transpired, so that's going to be coming up. They've been having some different companies that have come in and talked to the students. Nine Dragons was one of them that came in. One of the last things is that they had the solar company contact them, just give them information to see whether they wanted to sign on. There was a lot of mixed reviews during the board members. And that's kind of about all of it. That's quick highlights.
Angela?
I think Bruce covered it perfectly.
All right, thank you very much. Superintendent's report.
So I think I reported out last time that I was able to attend the chorus concerts on the Church on the Hill.
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
Hey, Bruce, how's the enrollment? Is it up, down, way up, same, you know?
I don't have the numbers with me, but I want to say we're roughly about where we usually are at.
You don't have a total number?
No, I didn't bring it with me. I can get it for you the next time.
No, just curious.
Yep. All of the programs that we're running are being sustained quite well. We don't have any programs that are running with not enough students. So we're having with the 3 schools that are sending students to us, we're supporting the program quite well.
Pam, how many do we have going Deerfield High School?
So the last I knew it was 67, but I don't have
And-
the most current number.
And how many do adult ed?
There are very few doing adult ed. In the adult ed report that I just put in, I think it was less than 15.
Thanks. Questions? That's good.
No,
I'm curious. I'm curious.
67's quite a few.
I said that number with conviction and now I'm not like 100% sure, like.
I think that's right.
We
I,
have a decent amount, like our percentages stayed pretty steady at Region 9.
And you've got.
I was thinking total was like 126 or something like that.
126?
I think it's somewhere around there. I think we're about half of the
Yeah, so
students
then
there.
we probably don't have 67, but. I
No,
don't know.
I think we've got a high
Brian can
percentage.
tell
Brian
you.
can tell us.
It may be like 37. They would, I said it with conviction and then when I said, it, I'm like, I'm not sure if that's exactly the number, but I know our numbers have been pretty consistent from year to year. We have not dropped considerably at Region 9.
All right, you continue, then Brian will let us know.
Oh, as I said, I did see the chorus presentations at the church on the hill. They were great. I also was able to attend the chorus from the elementary schools, from kindergarten through grade 6 at the high school. They all had their concerts here, as well as the middle school band and the high school bands, and they did a phenomenal job all the way up through. So I just wanted to publicly thank the board for supporting music and for Charity Webster and James Hamalainen for really working tirelessly to move our music program forward in RSU56. Also wanted to let you know that the next Thursday and this Thursday and Friday, I will be at the Maine School Superintendent's Association Winter Convocation in Portland. And the focus of the 2 days is leading with empathy and authenticity. And I will remain available by phone or email if anybody needs anything those 2 days. And before I invite Gina up to do her administrator's report, she can come up and get ready. I just want to report out some new hires. We were able to hire a number of learning facilitators in our ed tech positions that were open. So Katie Morse is coming on at the elementary school in special education, Heather Merchant at the middle school in special education, Tasha Chapman at the elementary school in special education, Devin Fletcher Nelson, who is coming on as Title I at the elementary school, Grace Timberlake Cookson as a learning facilitator at DES in Title I, Caitlin Woolen as a DES special education learning facilitator, and Patrice Parker will be in the DES ESSER behavior support position. That's just for the rest of the school year. So we had enough money in ESSER to help give some behavior support at the elementary school. And then Gina is going to be the administrator tonight.
And we had 36 students as of October 1st, but that may have changed since then.
I wanted to open my personal.
So on the back of your packets, I did put, venues for January. So the 4 different programs that we're running right now. Kathy, you can have this one up. Okay. So now you can ask them then. So. I'm short, you guys, okay? So for the nutrition department this year. Hey, Brian, I'll get it to go. Oh, there we go. Too far. Okay, so we have transitioned back this year from the Seamless Summer Program to National School Lunch Program. That's what NSLP means. The biggest change that anybody would see is that we can't send the meals home. We are able, however, if school did close for a COVID reason, I would be able to get a waiver. I could file for a waiver to do that. So what they mean is we have to have, that was non-congregate feeding. So they have to actually eat on the premises. We can't send meals home. That's why we couldn't do the storm meals. So, we can if the district pays. It's a whole big, but anyway, so we could get a waiver if we close for COVID reasons. The reimbursement rates this year are $276 for breakfast and $443 for lunch. And that's across the board. Even though this year they still filed their free and reduced applications, that was basically for the ESSER, not the ESSER funds, for the funds for the school system. Because a lot of it is based on need. But the state of Maine now pays the difference. So as free student, we'd get the $443. A reduced student, we'd get a lesser amount, but the state's paying the difference. So it's not from the feds, basically all the differences. We are offering the fruit and veggie grant again this year. That is offered to the middle school and the elementary schools. We're doing it 4 days a week. We work with one of our vendors to try to get a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. This year, they have done the tri-colored carrots, the dino melons, the star fruit, ugly fruit. Ugly fruit, I'm not a fan. But it opens up, the whole reason for this program is to introduce the kids to something that they probably wouldn't get to try at home. The after-school program we are doing at the elementary school this year. We call it a super snack. It is basic, it's a little more than a snack, but not quite a whole lunch. And the reason we're going that way is because of the reimbursement rate is $433. So we basically, and in the back of your packet, you do have a menu for that. We rotate through, I have 6 or 7 different meals, and it's kind of like a Lunchable. Like today was cereal and banana and milk. We have salsa and chips meal. There's different ones, like a quick pick, muffin, a yogurt, cheese stick on that idea. We have opened the Snack Shack, the a la carte program for the middle school and the high school. High school just started this week. So we do sell smart snacks. They are stringent on the requirements. You have to meet certain calorie counts. It has to be whole grain. We have to be under a sodium count, et cetera, like that. The meals. So I did as of Christmas break, because it was easier, cleaner to do that. So we served 22,334 students and 33,000 for breakfast and 33,020 lunches. And at that point, the average was 775 students because we've lost some kids. Kids come back. So we're averaging 310 for breakfast and 455 for lunch. The majority of them are at the elementary school. The elementary school does serve the most, but the middle school is close behind. They serve, I think, 60% of that population. We have been fortunate to get the supply chain assistance funds. So last year we got 17,000, a little over 17,000, and we got a touch more this year. We have already spent last year's money. It had to be spent by September 30th this coming September. We've already spent that. Basically, we're putting all the milk invoices. So what we had to use that is minimally processed foods, and it had to be produced in the US. So it was cleaner to do the milk. I can do produce too, but basically I put the milk invoices to that. Commodity monies, we have received over 45,000 in funds, and that is spent on what they call brown box. I know a lot of you have heard this part before, but some of you haven't. So brown box would be like meats like hamburger, turkey, shredded cheese, and vegetables, frozen canned fruits and frozen fruits. And then we also have DOD Fresh, where we can put so much money towards fresh produce. And we have a truck that can come once a week to order off from that. It's an 18-wheeler, pulls up. We have a minimum order of 150. So we have put money into that this year. And then the net NOI, that is, we commit to buying from a certain product. Like say, we use Rich Chicks is the
our chicken producer. So that would be like our chicken patties or chicken nuggets. We can put it towards pizza, eggs. There's a wide variety of stuff that we do. We kind of commit to buying certain brands to get a discount, basically. And I didn't put in there, on there, we are in a buying group. We are a capital area buying group, which is out of Augusta. So there's I think there's 10 of us, different districts that get together, and then we're like a co-op buying group. So, audit, we had 4 audits last year. We were audited on our summer, that after-school program, and the NSLP, I'm sorry, a little acronym. And we had a procurement review. That's basically the buying, to make sure that we are buying properly, that we are trying to do US products, that we're trying to spread the wealth. Because like if I go to the store, I'm supposed to go to Hannaford once, I go to Walmart once. I have to spread, even though I could technically probably get it cheaper at Walmart, but I am really supposed to bounce back and forth. We have done a lot of scratch cooking this year. We've made homemade rolls, biscuits. We are still making the taquitos. Kids seem to like those. We're taking the small little wrap and putting a little bit of cinnamon and sugar and rolling it up, rather than buying like a breadstick that they're just going to throw out, because that is something we are required to give, is a grain. So we try to make it something that they will eat. We're actually making pizza crust this year. That's something we've just started. The middle school has done it mostly. High school will be trying it tomorrow, and the kids have really taken to it. Doing homemade meatballs. There's a lot of stuff that they've been doing. I was just trying to keep it a little simple. At the middle school, high school, we've decided we're doing theme days. If you see it on the top of the middle school, high school, up in the right-hand corner is Monday, I think, was Mexican. Tuesday is soup. Then we have an Italian day, and Asian and American. Today we had corn chowder. Very good. I tried it. It was very good. Yeah. So we're trying to use the commodities, and yes, it's from scratch. And I've kind of let Ellen have reign of that, just like this is the theme. Try to do something. So she decided to do corn chowder. And I said, I walked down, that looks good. I'm going to try it. So, yeah. And I think it has made our counts go up. We are fully staffed, first time in I think 3 or 4 years, and everybody's staying. So, and we have a couple subs, which is great. And we have 8 employees. We have hours ranging from 3 to 8. Most of them are more like 6, basically, hours. And new and exciting, we have, the freezer is coming in. The freezers are being put in over February. Yeah. The one you voted on last year. So there wasn't, some of the parts were missing. So it will be coming in over February break. So we're excited on that. Well, I asked again. We are planning, I'm hoping, because I really menued a lot of commodities for this menu and the next one, just to clean it out. And we're working on getting a vending machine for the high school and maybe for the middle school. The vending machine would connect to our computer system. The kids could put their number in, their lunch number, and it would dispense a meal, and they wouldn't have to go into the kitchen. So we could actually have it down the hall, and I could put there's 5, I think, levels, and I could put breakfast in a couple and have them only available at a certain time, and then lunches, so it would only be available a certain time. And then if we decided we could do after school snacks. After school snacks is a lot to it, because I need attendance for it too. It's not just, it's a lot harder than anything else. I think that is it. Yep, that's it. You have any questions? Go ahead, Carl.
I got 2. Do you have our average cost for like a breakfast and lunch that in this district or?
I don't have it including our
well, just
labor.
Not a certain one.
Say, our food costs, we stay well within. It's the labor that puts us, it's pretty close.
In your opinion, is there a lot of food wasted?
Not really. I mean, I'm not sure the elementary because they pre-package it. They have like, I think I brought them in last year. They were like a whole 3-compartment container and they put everything in it so that kids can come down. So, you know, like little kids aren't gonna eat their broccoli, but we're required to give them certain components, so. Yeah. So, but the other schools, I don't see that much waste.
You mentioned you spread the wealth. I know you used to get apples from somewhere. Are we doing, getting any besides apples? Are there other vegetables or fruit that we're getting from local farmers?
We have been working with Berry Fruit Farm out of Livermore, but he's out of produce. He just let us know this week that he's out. And that when we do purchase from like Berry Fruit Farm, I can put in a third of the cost. So for every $3 we spend, I get $1 back, up to $2,000. But we're out of money. There is another place in Turner, but he's quite a bit more. So there would be more money to get it from him rather than get it straight from the vendor. So, but Berry Fruit Farm was actually good. And we actually have bought stuff from Conants. We did beef stew meat, and the kids really like that. We had a beef stew one day. We've got fish from the Gulf of Maine because the state is offering free fish. So the fishermen off the coast of Maine will donate fish to the school system. So we have had that. We have some in the freezer. We talking about using it, but we did do a monkfish stew, but it didn't go well. Which, I mean, if
That's
you,
an acquired taste you get.
well, I mean, if you looked up monkfish, I'd say it.
Bruce?
Pretty ugly.
I am kind of curious on these vending machines you're talking about. I would really like to hear more about them when you start proceeding forward with it.
So
A little
the,
reserved about it, though.
the vending machine that we're first starting with is being given to us. That's good. So I put in for a grant and we didn't receive the grant that I put in for, but they are willing to fund if we could use it for after-school program. That's what I was talking about, putting it at the middle school. But we are getting a free vending machine from Messabesic High School that they're not using. It's an older version, but it will hook into our computer system. Like I said, it would be a reimbursable meal.
Okay.
That was kind of like, let's try it and see what happens. A lot of schools are going that. The reason to go that way is that you don't have to have a person standing there, and we could have it down the other end, trying to catch those kids going out that door, or maybe out the front door.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Be curious to see it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
You mentioned the scratch thing, and is it mostly, does every school get scratch food? Meaning the elementary just get, because I know what my grandchildren eat.
Yep, if,
It's pretty standard,
let me look at,
okay.
let me see, where's my glasses? So tomorrow the lasagna is from scratch, I can tell you that. All 3 schools are getting that. That is coming from scratch. The Pizzarona casserole is going to all 3 schools, and that is from scratch. That's a menu, recipe we got from Mount Blue High School. The hot chicken sandwich, that is from scratch. The quesadillas, they all make them themselves. That is scratch. Shepherd's pie, yes. The tacos, yep, both schools are getting it. And the Bosco sticks are, it's really not a scratch. I wouldn't call that a scratch. But yes, the chicken and stuffing casserole that they had it at the middle school, high school today. We didn't offer it at the elementary, but most of the time, yes. There's at least once a week, a big meal is going across the river.
Okay.
Yeah, we try to include them.
So we won't know, this year, we were funded the state. When did they make that decision in August? That they would cover that?
That was voted, yeah, last budget,
Okay,
last state budget. They say it's not going away.
I don't think they would. I know they want.
There's 3 states, it's California, Maine, and now one more, and I don't know who it is. California was first, we were second, we just missed it by being the first.
I know my
to go
daughter's
first.
school did it, but I don't know if Mass, just the town or the
I don't,
state.
right, it's probably the town. I don't think Mass is one of them.
Yeah,
I can't remember who the 3rd state is, but it keeps, everybody's talking that we need to feed the kids.
Bruce?
How would you say the nutrition department is doing? Is there any dire needs you're going to need this year?
I'm not sure about the dishwashers, if the dishwashers are gonna be, because I know the middle school, they just had to put some parts in, and I have to talk to Kenny to see. There was like the coil, I know they replaced that, but he's talked about something in the back that's been dripping, and I don't know if this is something we're just continuing to put a Band-Aid on, or if this is something we should think to replace
Okay.
at some point. And then Kenny had talked about the refrigerator and freezer. So the middle school actually has 2 freezers. There's one when you first, well, you've been in there, but when you first come in, there's a freezer and a refrigerator side by side, and then there's another box freezer. The box freezer is what's getting replaced, and it's actually going larger. It's gonna be 3 feet larger than the old one, but that's another thing I need to talk to Kenny, if he's thinking that's something we need to consider at some point.
Okay, we're just trying to
Replacing.
make everything as efficient as we can.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
And we replaced a lot of stuff in this kitchen.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
warmer and the.
Yeah, they have a new warmer, the double stack oven and the steamer here.
Any more questions for Gina? Go ahead, Larry. Thank you, Gina. Go ahead, Larry.
Going back to your reporting of new hires, the learning facilitators, that is a paid position, correct?
Those are paid
And by
positions.
hourly, or is that on one of the,
So at our last, I think it was our last board meeting, we voted in a learning facilitator job description. So they're paid as on an Ed Tech 1 scale, but the plan is that within a year of hire, they get their Ed Tech 3 certification. It's a program that the Maine Department of Education is working with schools with, because we're finding it a hardship to try to find certified people to hire as Ed Tech. So kudos to the DOE for working with us and offering this option.
I just thought on.
Thank you. All set? Yep, I think you did everything. Committee report. Okay, John?
Yeah, I give you a chance to correct yourself. So I'll start off with athletics. The boys varsity basketball team is currently 9-0, which is just fantastic. The girls basketball team is working hard. They actually have a game tonight as we speak, which may already be finished, I'm not sure. And I know that cross-country skiing is struggling with the lack of snow, but they're working through it. And yeah, that wraps up athletics. 2 major things are the phone policy, which, as you heard, students are slowly adapting and adjusting to. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some pushback. You know, I've heard arguments that high school especially is preparing students for their adult lives, where no one's going to tell them that they can't have their phone. So they should learn how to be responsible with it rather than limiting it.
The reason I'm laughing is my daughter has to put her phone in her locker and she. In the.
And on the other side of things, like I try to talk with teachers and stuff like that, and some have said it's a lot. It's kind of a relief where they're not, you know, the beast that's telling students that they can't have access to it. And I've also heard on the other side of that some don't like the restrictiveness of the policy, especially in learning labs, where it's not guaranteed an educational time, where if you're done with your homework and you're all studied up for your next test, there's nothing to do besides sit there and twiddle your thumbs. And then the final thing is next Friday, the first semester of this school year is ending. And that'll be the next Monday. The next one is starting. So classes are kind of wrapping up.
Time is flying.
Indeed.
Thank you, Joe. Policy Committee, we haven't met. Finance Committee,
We haven't met officially. I guess we'll know more as this heads of department schools present us with some facts and figures.
curriculum. I know they haven't met. I forgot who's in charge of curriculum.
Yeah.
Angela.
Jason is, and there was a meeting, but I was unable to attend, so I'm not sure what occurred.
I went to that meeting. Buildings and grounds.
We are meeting this Friday, 1:00.
Have negotiation, none. Personnel, Natalie is not here, but I mean, they're hiring. And the ad hoc, I have no idea when the next meeting is.
I do not either.
I have no clue. So, all right, board member comments? Go ahead, Liz.
On buildings and grounds, I was gonna interrupt you, but you guys went pretty fast. Yeah. How did we make it through the rain and windstorm over vacation? Was there any damage to the school that you know of?
Nothing that was reported to me. I mean, we've buttoned everything up and
Nothing, no issues with rain coming in anywhere? Oh, that's good. That's good.
No, we did have a custodian in each building check on that Saturday when it was supposed to be really windy and rainy. And so they checked and we did not have any major issues in any of the buildings.
Thank you. Any other board member comments? Seeing none, we are going to enter into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA subsection 6A to discuss the evaluation of the superintendent of schools. Could I have a motion, please?
so moved.
And a second?
Okay.
Roll call, Dawn,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Deanna. Yes. Angela.
Yes.
And Angela, I think you exit and go into the other one.
Yeah, I'm already going in on another device.
All right. I'm going to entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we extend our superintendent's contract another year, which will bring her out 3 years beyond this year.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Comments or questions? Seeing none, roll call?
Dawn,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Deanna. Yes. Angela.
Yes.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to adjourn? And a second? Did you write down Bruce and Don's? Roll call.
Dawn,
Yeah.
Larry, Bruce,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Liz, Carl,
Yes.
Deanna. Yes. Angela.
Yes.